Okay, let's jump right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are tackling a modern epidemic that, let's be honest, almost all of us deal with at some point. Overthinking. We live in this world of constant noise, endless notifications, and to-do lists that literally never seem to end. It is incredibly easy to get trapped in an endless loop of your own thoughts. But what if I told you that the secret to hitting the mute button on your anxious brain doesn't require some expensive retreat or hours of really complex meditation? What if the solution is literally sitting in the dirt outside your window? Today, we're unpacking some truly fascinating insights from Psychology Today that reveal how simple things like dirt, leaves, and trees can physically hack your brain and stop overthinking dead in its tracks. To start, think about the lotus flower for a second, the lian hua. In stories of the Buddha, it's used as this really powerful metaphor for transcending desires and finding peace. Why? Because it surfaces through muddy, totally dirty waters, but its waxy petals completely deflect all that muck. It stays pure, resilient, and peaceful, no matter how messy its environment is. And from a psychological standpoint, spending time in nature allows us to act just like those waxy petals. It's a literal mechanism for us to deflect the noise and get out of our own heads, regardless of how much muck we happen to be wading through in our daily lives.
There is this fantastic anecdote from the author that really brings this to life. She talks about her paternal grandfather, who was a man who truly understood the power of nature. He walked miles through the hills, so much so that he actually bought a second home up there, and even shared well water with the family of the 14th Dalai Lama. But here's the best part. When his family started worrying that he was getting a bit too old and hired a teenage boy to help him out, the grandfather completely outhiked the teenager. The kid actually ended up having to ride the donkey while the grandfather just happily walked. He stayed in incredibly robust health for most of his life simply by surrounding himself with trees, mountains, and fresh air.
Now, the crucial point here is that this isn't just some nice, poetic idea. It is literally hardwired into us. The German social psychologist Erich Fromm actually coined a term for this, biophilia, which was later popularized by the American biologist Edward O. Wilson. Basically, biophilia is the scientific concept that we have an evolutionary and genetic predisposition, like a deep-seated attraction to all living things. Our bodies crave nature. In Hui Chinese culture, they talk about qi as the vital life force that keeps you balanced and moving forward. And sitting in nature, just looking at trees, is proven to nourish that exact life force. We are fundamentally built to need the natural world.
And this craving, it builds into measurable science. A landmark study published in the journal Molecular Psychiatry decided to really put this to the test. The researchers wanted to see exactly what happens to our physical brains when we're exposed to different environments. So they took participants and had them walk for just 1 single hour. Half of the group walked through a lush forest in Berlin, Germany. The other half walked down a busy, traffic-filled shopping street. And before and after these walks, the researchers carefully measured their brain activity.
The results were honestly astounding. For the group that took the forest walk, activity in their amygdala significantly decreased. And why does that matter for us? Well, the amygdala is the part of your brain that acts as the primary villain when you are overthinking. It's your brain's alarm system that processes fear and stress. Simply by walking among trees for an hour, these participants physically deactivated their brain's stress center. Their environment literally changed their brain chemistry for the better.
But wait, it goes even deeper than that. Social psychologist Gregory Bratman at the University of Washington runs the Environment and Well-Being Lab, and his research points to a totally different part of the brain, the subgenual prefrontal cortex. When you're sitting at your desk, stewing over some minor mistake, replaying a weird conversation, or just obsessing over small infractions, blood flow to this specific part of your brain spikes. It gets hot. But Bratman found that experiencing the awe of nature acts like a coolant. It lowers the heat of that mental stew, physically reducing the blood flow to the exact area that's causing you to obsess.
This brings us to such a beautiful realization. When you stand in front of a massive, chiseled mountain peak, or you look up at a giant ring of redwood trees, you experience awe. And that awe forces a massive shift in perspective. It pulls you right out of your self-absorption, it banishes those fixed negative beliefs you've been clinging to, and it reminds you that the world is incredibly vast and magnificent. Suddenly, the petty little problems you are overthinking shrink right down to their actual size. They become totally insignificant compared to the grandeur right in front of you.
So you're probably asking yourself right now, okay, how much of this nature medicine do I actually need to take? Well, the magic number is 120. A massive survey called the Monitor of Engagement with the Natural Environment analyzed self-reports from nearly 20,000 subjects. And they found that you only need 120 minutes a week in nature to feel its significant mental and physical benefits. If you break that down, that is just over 17 minutes a day. That is highly achievable for almost anyone.
Taking this a step further, the Japanese have actually formalized this practice into something incredibly effective. Back in 1982, the Japanese Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries coined the term Shinrin-yoku. Translated, this means forest bathing. Now, that doesn't mean taking a literal bathtub into the woods. It means fully immersing yourself in the atmosphere of the forest, just taking it all in through your senses. It's a genuinely prescribed health practice in Japan, and it has attracted a ton of attention from researchers worldwide. To prove just how powerful Shinrin-yoku really is, a study in the journal Environmental Health and Preventative Medicine took participants and swapped their environments back and forth between urban settings and forest settings in Japan. The clinical results are just rapid-fire proof of nature's impact. Just walking in a forest setting actively lowered cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone. It lowered pulse rates, it lowered blood pressure, and it decreased sympathetic nerve activity, which is the driver behind your body's fight-or-flight response. Your body physically unwinds when it's surrounded by nature.
But here's a really cool twist. It's not just about being deep in the woods. It's also about what you choose to focus your eyes on. Researchers from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology decided to test this by taking subjects all the way to the top of the UC Berkeley clock tower. One group was instructed to look outward, over the massive expanse of the San Francisco Bay and the Golden Gate Bridge. The control group, however, was told to look inward, just staring at the interior walls of the clock tower. Guess what happened? The researchers found that the subjects who took in the expansive view of the bay felt significantly less stressed than the ones staring at the interior walls. When we physically look outward toward trees, water, and the sky, rather than looking inward at walls or, let's face it, our screens, our day-to-day grievances and petty annoyances actually begin to fade away. It is literally a visual trick to escape the internal noise. By just changing our line of sight, we can live lives with so much more meaning and far less mental chatter.
Now, I know exactly what many of you are thinking right now. This is the critical question, right? What if I don't live next to a lush forest? What if I'm not a short drive from the Redwoods or the San Francisco Bay or the Tibetan Plateau? If I'm trapped in a high-rise in a concrete city, how do I get these brain-hacking benefits? Am I just out of luck?
Absolutely not. You can bring the biophilia right to you. A study published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health proved that merely adding potted plants or fresh flowers to a work office brings immediate health and cognitive gains. Subjects who worked in an office with just a simple plant performed significantly better on tasks that required attention and concentration. So even a tiny dose of nature sitting right on your desk helps regulate your mind.
Take the author's mother, for example. She was a woman with the ultimate green thumb, and she proved this concept perfectly. Her secret to growing these incredible rose bushes was actually feeding them literal food scraps, like eggshells and spent tea leaves. But the real takeaway here, coaxing those plants to bloom gave her a profound sense of purpose, and it kept her thriving well into her 90s. So, how do we actually apply all of this today? Here are 3 highly actionable steps that you can scale to fit your lifestyle, lower your stress, and stop that overthinking. Number 1, if you can, take a weekend jaunt to a mountain lake, a local nature preserve, or an urban wildlife sanctuary. Immersive awe works wonders. Number 2, if a weekend trip just isn't in the cards, find a city park, sit under a tree for short stints throughout the week. Remember, you only need 120 minutes total. And number 3, if you can't even get to a park, pot a plant for your windowsill or put some fresh flowers on your desk. Bring the green inside.
Which brings us to the ultimate question for you to ponder. We've seen the science. We know for a fact that nature lowers amygdala activity, it cools our mental stew, and it reconnects us with our vital life force. The evidence is totally clear. So, will you let your brain stay stuck in the city's muck, just spinning in a loop of overthinking, or will you take a cue from the lotus flower, step outside, and plant a seed to change your mind today? The choice and your peace of mind is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.